in a drawing view on an A4 page that we can sort of take into the workshop. We're all going to do this for the coffee table, but you're going to be able to do this with your own projects afterwards, after I've shown you these skills. So you can go to the model icon up the top and go down to drawing, and we're going to choose from design. Now actually, one of the first steps we need to do is I'm going to email everyone this template, Ross Trevor A4 drawing template. So from your emails, if you can take that file, save it to your computer somewhere, and open up the show data panel, and what you're going to do is press upload, then find the file from your downloads or something like that, so that you can find the Ross Trevor A4 template, drawing template, and then upload it so that it shows up in your coffee table project, and you can use that same template. You can move that into your Year 12 major project or whatever you like, but once you've done that, you'll be able to use it as drawing view. One problem we have is that by default it chooses first angle rather than third angle in the drawing, which for the coffee table doesn't matter too much, but it means that when we look at the projected view above, it shows the bottom of the coffee table. Without going into too much detail in this video, I'm going to show you how to overcome that problem before we get started. So we're going to go to your name at the top right hand corner, go down to preferences, under general, and then drawing. We want to, I think by default yours will say inherit from design, like this. Okay. So that's probably what it will look like by default. You're going to change the standard from inherit from design down to ISO, which is an international standard. Leave the sheet size as A4, it doesn't really matter. And we want to override and the projection angle, rather than first, we want to take that down to third angle, okay, which is going to mean that the views work in the same way that I'm going to demonstrate in this video. If it doesn't work, go back to this page and check that under drawing you've got third angle selected there. So press apply and then OK. Now under model, drawing, we're ready to go. We're going to say from design, and we're choosing the template that says Ross Trevor A4 drawing template. So I'll click on that one and press OK. Okay, so I've got the Ross Trevor logo down the bottom. It's an A4 sheet rather than an A3 sheet because that's the sort of size printer that we've regularly got access to. And we've got the coffee table attached to our mouse at the moment. And at the moment, the scale is 20 to 1, or 1 is to 20. If you made that 1 to 1, it would be the exact size of the part that you would try to make on paper. Obviously, it would be too big on our piece of paper here, but if you say put a dowel on one of these drawings and then printed it out, it should be exactly the same size as it would be in real life if it was 1 to 1. So change the scale back to 1 is to 10 perhaps, would be more appropriate for this coffee table, and we want to put a base view down in the bottom left hand corner to start with. So I'll click once there, and we're going to come back and change the visual styles, so we'll leave that for now and press OK. You can see it's done that black and white outline of our coffee table. Then we're going to go to projected views, which is the second icon along. That was the first tool we used, but it started using it as soon as we got into this drawing view. So if you press escape, you can go back to base view if you needed to. Anyway, projected view, and we're going to put one above it, up above there, one to the right hand side of it. And you can see there's a line between them, linking them together so that they're always at the same height, which is really important. And it folds it out. The coffee table, it looks exactly the same because it's square, but if it was a rectangular type thing, this view would be of the front, and then this would be of the right hand side of the coffee table. And then we can come up to the top right hand corner to get isometric image up the top. So we'll click there, and then once we've placed all the views, we can right click on our mouse and press OK. So there's the different views that we need. We'd probably want to bring that off the border a little bit and bring these down perhaps. So to move them around, you can click on the center of them, and you can see how they're linked together, so they're always staying in line with each other. Give them a bit more space perhaps. I like perhaps to turn on the hidden line, so if I had dowel joints and stuff in here, I could actually be able to see that. In mine I don't, but yours you might have done that, so we can say turn on hidden edges so we can see some more details of where the other rails are, etc. So sometimes it looks too messy with the hidden line edges turned on, so by default that's why it's turned off. But the coffee table, we should be able to use hidden edges. Another option would be to use just visible edges, and then when we do a section view of something, we could use the hidden edges then. So I'm going to close that down. The top view here, I always like to make that solid, so change that to be shaded, and it doesn't need to be quite as big as it is. So I'd make that maybe 1 to 15 or something like that, so that it's a bit smaller and it shows us an image of what we're making, but it doesn't take up too much of our drawing sheet. So I like to put that a little bit further away up there. We can use the text tool like this to be able to say that in here there's going to be a dowel joint, and then you can move that around as need be. And we can put some dimensions on our table now. So with the D tool, or pressing that dimension tool up the top, we could say that from the very top of it down to the very bottom of it, mine says 430, yours might be slightly different, and if you need to, you can click on that dimension and move that to a new location, but where it sort of puts it by standard is probably okay. I like to think that if there's a dimension that could be used by both of these images, I'd put it between, but if it's a dimension that's sort of more so showing a detail of a particular part that isn't relevant to this one, then you could put it out to the side. So this one's not a good example of that because it's 70 by 70 on all of them, but you can see that if there was something in particular on this drawing that wasn't referenced on this one, then I'd put it out to the right hand side. Otherwise I tend to put them in between the two drawings. So we can say what the width and depth of our coffee table by putting those dimensions on, and just go through and put enough dimensions on it. We like to say that someone else will be able to take this plan to the workshop and be able to make that product accurately with those dimensions. As a bit of a special feature, I guess, for the more advanced, you can go to a detailed view and say on this corner, if I was trying to show how a joint might work, I can click on that this view to start with, and then where I want the magnifying glass to go, so I can click on the magnifying glass center point and then drag out the size that I want the magnifying glass, and then I can place that somewhere. I like to use either this space or this space to be able to show that. And rather than scale, 1 to 8 would be okay, but I might go back to 1 to 5 to make it a bit bigger, to make it worthwhile being a larger section view. And then you could come in here and say that had hidden edges, even if the original drawing, if this was too messy, I could turn that back to visible, so you can see that they're just visible edges, but I've got hidden edges turned on here. So it's up to you perhaps what you decide to do, what you think looks nice and neat. And then I've got a reference A there, and showing up here is A as well, so I can probably move the location of that A so it's a bit clearer, and this one could perhaps come back down a little bit, and then I'd be able to put dimensions on this view specifically. Probably that's enough for this video. You can export that as a PDF perhaps, is the best way. So output as a PDF and then save that file into your OneNote.